Hello World Doll Day friends, this is Michael Kanadas with the Grovian Doll Museum and Carmel Doll Shop. Today we are here with collector extraordinaire Julie Blewis. And Julie is a longtime member of our doll community, and she has one of the finest collections in the world. And she has a group of dolls that I don't get to see every day, and I
hope so.
But she's going to give me a master class in these dolls, and we thought we'd invite you along on the way. So we're going to talk about Kammer and Reindardt dolls,
Which is one of my two favorite character doll companies, that and Armand, which we'll deal with another day. But this is the 100 series. And it came as a result of the Munich Art Festival and the Munich Art Dolls that came out of there in 1908. So in 1909, Kammer and Reindardt said, we're going to launch our own set of dolls. And we're going to call them character dolls instead of art doll movements. And they're going to be in bisque, because this is a whole new market moving away from the very stiff dolly face dolls. And it allowed a lot more expression and a lot more creativity, which was actually very well received by the artist. So you are holding the very beginning of everything. That sculpture is actually one of two that I know of. Always say know of, because you never know what else is going to show up. But that is by Louis Funk, who was later identified by the Cieslicks many years later as a sculptor of many of these molds. And interestingly enough, he didn't want to be associated with dolls. So his identity was not available for a really long time. And this is his first sculpt, and you all probably recognize it as the Kaiser baby, as number 100 and the start of the 100 series. And that is an actual sculpt from Louis Funk. And actually, later on I could show you on the way out a picture of Louis Funk.
So they started out first with baby.
The baby, the 100, and that baby comes as, you can get a Kaiser baby which we call Kaiser baby. He was never called Kaiser baby.
No, just baby.
And just our nickname for it. But I used to have one I got from you, really dark black. I've had a light brown complexion. They're glass-eyed, they're painted eye, they're in baby and in toddler.
Okay.
But to be honest, not my favorite mold.
And you're not really a baby.
No. So
You're forgiven.
After I wrote the article and used all those examples, I made valuable space.
That's right. Babies do take up space.
However,
if you love babies, it's a great time to collect.
Absolutely, and you should get those in really unusual variations. I mean, especially glass eyes is really the way to go. So then from there, we begin to move on to what I really do love. So we started, of course, after 100 would come 101. And that's known by collectors. Again, this was not the name at the time of manufacture, as Marie and Peter. And in this example, you're seeing three that are unusual for the following reasons. She is a really unusual glass-eyed black 101. Would love to see another. I'd love to see one bigger, but at the moment that's the only one. The boy in red is a painted eye version on a much larger size of the 101 Peter. And then this one is unusual because he has the flocked hair.
And aren't they marked with an X?
Yes, and they also, and flocking often gets damaged, and it's a hard thing to sustain. But and then this is, I think that the 101 and the 114 are among their best sculpts, and the wonderful thing is they are super affordable now. Now is the time to buy these. I remember when I first started collecting, and we will not say how long ago that was, they were probably 4 or 5 times what they are now.
And is the boy in red, isn't that the largest size that came in?
That I've seen. So I absolutely would recommend, if anybody has interest in character dolls, and I think that they are really important to add to a collection, that you look, now is the time to grab a 101, a 114, and they are among the most beautiful molds ever created, don't you think?
I would agree with you.
I mean, they are.
And it is a fantastic time.
Yeah.
But you're still going to have a little bit of a challenge when it comes to, say, a black doll.
Oh, yes,
That'll
always.
still be. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Or glass eye, too, for that matter.
Yes, but even now, glass size is much less than it was 20 years ago.
That's true.
The black, it's just because it's hard to find, period.
Right.
At any point in time. But it's definitely a golden opportunity. I mean, there are definitely highs and lows for doll collecting. And right now, the super rare characters are really going back up there. But the 101 and the 114 are
still great price.
Magnificent dolls.
Well, let's look at these little goodies
102.
here.
Well, this is a sculpt. We could start with just like the sculpt of the 100, and Lewin Funk used real children, his children, and Kammer Reindardt children as models for many of these dolls. And we will show at the end a book that puts a lot of that together if people are interested in exploring that further. Now, the first example I want to give of the 102 is not, if you might wonder, that doesn't look bisque. And that's because he is not bisque. He's more what we would call a Munich art type, but he definitely wasn't done by Kollitz. I mean, there's no question that this is this sculpt. We think it was probably a prototype. Another theory was that they were going to do this, and then they got into some legal dispute with Maureen Kollitz about infringing on her territory of Munich art dolls. I think it was more of a K-Star prototype that they just did and they never put in production.
Yeah, it could be let's fiddle with the mold and see what we can make. And it could even be a painting plan of how to paint it.
Right. I mean, I know of one other. The Barry Art Museum has one that they just acquired at the Rosalie's Museum. And I love it. I mean, I always love the Munich Arts because of the warmth. I mean, there's a warmth to that kind of finish.
I agree.
So that's a really great one. And then this boy in the back is the classic 102. Interesting thing to know about 102s that's really important is that it comes in 2 sizes, period. There is no third size. I believe that there have been some reproductions circulating that are about 17, 18 inches.
Yep.
That does not exist. That was never produced in that size. This is a large size, and then the small size would be about 12 inches. And if you see something that's different, it's not right. It just isn't.
Well, these dolls, I think but you should really research before you put money on the counter for them.
I've seen people pay some good money for that 17-inch 102. We're giving you the master class, people. Don't do it.
Listen to this lady.
Don't do it. It can be beautiful. It can look great, and I think that they do, but it's not right.
If you get it for $200, it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now this one is a really oddball variation because he has a shoulder plate. Let's see if I can get this off here. Come on. You don't want to show you, but it's a shoulder plate version, and his neck is a little bit to the side. I have never seen a 102 with a shoulder plate. Mm-hmm. And I would have to think that they were experimenting with it, and they decided
that was a new thing.
Let's not do it. It's not worth it. Yeah. And they never put them into production.
Well, I would imagine in the firing stage, because of the way that there would be a lot of loss of just in greenware, just the head slumping over. And our maker friends will let us know.
Yeah, but I've never seen another, and I'm not sure also really what it adds to the, but it's just a great and the way that you could see the way the head is tilted a little, because that's the way.
It adds to your study.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a wonderful.
Maybe not to the nursery of 1909.
So after 102, we move on to 103. What's unique about this 103, and I should say there are very, very few 103s. I mean, I think the number of 103s would certainly be under 10 that I know of that exist. And this is the only one that we know of at this point, that has brown eyes.
Well, it is a spectacular doll.
And actually, I'm looking here, and I think just about everybody, most of these are blue eyes. I mean, heavily favored on the blue eye. This was originally a girl. And she took on,
She went in the witness
she
protection program.
was changed over because she became a partner with the 105 that's down the road, and I'll show you the two together. So we moved, and I think that it works wonderful.
Look at this profile and all of the contour of the face and this little bit of little fat near the ears.
Which you see better as a boy because it doesn't have the wig covering
That's
it.
right. They're really beautiful.
Yeah.
Quality.
And yeah, it's one of my favorite dolls. And then, giving you an example of how you can do it as a girl or boy, another very rare mold number are the 104s. And here you have as a girl and as a boy. But the 102, the 103, the 104, the 105, the 106, we're talking very, very few examples to come by. But you could see the extreme modeling. I mean, this actually has a lot more modeling even than the 103. All the indentations in the dimples and the chin.
And, you know, I'm looking at it from the side, and I want the audience to see, look at the separation of the mouth. That had to be very difficult to achieve that separation like that.
You know, the Cieslaks had a very interesting research find that a lot of these dolls started not selling well because children didn't find them fun to play with. They had one expression and they didn't have the glass size, so they weren't selling and they were expensive, so they destroyed them. Mm-hmm. They were on the shelves, they weren't moving, and they just got.
And they are very hyper realistic, so that kind of in a way takes away the child's imagination with it.
So that's a theory of why so many of them are hard to find. And then this was a recent acquisition after a long time of waiting, and this is the 105. Maybe even harder to find than the 104 and the 102. You can actually see a very strong family resemblance to the 104.
Well, I think it's almost like the child is at different stages. You know, it's the same child, but she's maturing differently. And again, the separation between the upper lip and lower lip is just amazing.
And the reason that the 103 became a boy is, here, put these two together. They make just a fabulous pairing.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because the outfits complement each other. One's blue-eyed, one's brown-eyed.
Mm-hmm. And we've got just a very tiny little dimple. The bisque quality of these dolls is outstanding.
Yes, and the nice thing is you get that great bisque quality on a 101 and a 114.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So it's not like only the really expensive, rare examples have that bisque quality. It's all the way through the entire
line.
Mm-hmm.
Very satiny finish. But those ears, I think that this is a lot of artists, I don't mean to go back to him, but a lot of artists have problems with hands and ears. And these dolls have really superior ears. All right, now we're going to come to one of my faves.
Yes, the 107, and let's bring this over so you can see why. It is a 102 with a wig as opposed to the molded hair. Same exact face.
Do you have any idea why they decided to do two versions of a doll? Was it just to...
I would guess that probably more popular with a wig for kids because they get to...
hair care?
Yeah. But and the 107 is like the 102. Again, you're only going to find it in the two sizes.
Right.
These dolls, only one size. You're not going to find a smaller 102. There's not a 14-inch 103 or 12-inch 103 or a 12-inch 105 or 12. But this 107 and the 102, two sizes.
And do you think that the reason there aren't the different sizes is because they were not popular? And
maybe it was also difficult to make in the small size. I mean, they're elaborate. I don't have a 106, and I don't want him ignored. I want to share this beautiful photo of a 106. So you could see it's sort of a younger boy. and he's got a lot of modeling, which is why I don't see him as a girl. But it's a fabulous doll, and this is an incredible book. As long as I'm taking it out now, this is the sculpt that they think that the doll had been based on, and this book is in English as well as in German, and it's by Christa Langer on Charakterpuppen. It's from portrait to model, and it goes through many of the dolls and, like, just picking up a page here, and the sculpts that she thinks influenced them.
And this is a great inspiration.
It is a fabulous book.
Reference too.
Yeah, I just highly recommend this book. And here's a picture actually of Lewin Funk, and he was the sculptor. And this comes from his original family. So if anybody wants to look into it, it's more this whole theory about sculpting and the artist who is behind many of these dolls. I just think this is a great book.
So basically, in a lot of ways, these are dolls, but they're decorative art. They're sculptures.
Well, just like, the A mark. That was done by a sculptor, and that's why these are also based on an artist who was also extremely acclaimed, and as many of these dolls are. So after the 107, we move into the 109. There is a 108, one known to exist at the moment. It is not in this collection. I think it's a beautiful doll. It is different than the others in this grouping in that she has earring holes. There is some dispute whether it is part of this series or not part of this series, but it is marked 108, and I think it's a beautiful example of a doll. I don't have it in front of me to hold, to look at, but I just want to say that there is one example of it.
Just give me a couple hours, I'll get one for
Okay,
you.
good. And if anybody has a few hanging out in the garage, let me know. So after the 108 would be the 109, which is known as an Elise. And looks like more an older girl, would you say?
Yeah, I think so.
And
what's nice about that doll is it comes in many sizes.
it does come in many sizes.
But this is the largest size, isn't it?
At least, if not then just below
Pretty
it.
close to it.
Yeah. It is an expense. It's not as affordable as a 101 or 114.
Right.
Because they are harder to find. And she is, there is no 110 in anybody's collection that I know of. Same really for 111, even though there is some variation on that, which we'll discuss at the end. So the next number that is available to collectors that we have seen is the 112. And here are 3 examples of a 112. We have brown eyes, blue eyes, glass eyes. And I should say that the 109 you can find as a glass eye 109. Very hard to find. I haven't actually found one. Have you ever had one?
I've seen, yes, a while ago. So maybe 15 years ago.
Whereas the 103, the 104, the 105 or 6 is painted eye only. These ones that have come in more different sizes, there will be painted eye and glass eye variations. And then after the 112, there is no 113. I don't know if it's because it was a superstitious number for them as well. Well, we have the 114, which we have been talking about, which is known as Gretchen. And that's a very large glass-eyed version. Again, both glass-eyed and painted eye. And in some ways, personally, I prefer the painted eyes. Even though the glass-eyes are more expensive, there's some artistry in the painting of the eyes.
I agree with you on that.
And I just love...
Although this is an absolutely
gorgeous,
stunning doll.
Yeah, and she's got beautiful modeling. But and I also put little ones in front just so you could see how extreme we have in sizes on these other numbers. So we have here a little pair of 101 and 114 together. They're often paired together, 101s and 114s.
Mixing.
Yeah, because they look really cute together. They make a cute brother-sister pair. And then the last doll in the collection here that I'm showing is what I was talking about with the 111. This is a 11, missing, not a 111, just an 11. I think it looks like it belongs in this series. It has the very similar look, but there's not really the documentation. But I would say I would feel very confident saying that's a Kammer Reinhardt sculpt.
And you know, dolls can be put on different bodies, but it is got the proper body. But there's so much in the painting.
And she has a sort of pensive look, and I just absolutely adore the doll. You know, sometimes you say, well, even if it's not completely documented, it makes sense to me. I'm comfortable with it.
Well, it's a rare doll no matter what, whether it has...
Right, absolutely. And I just think it belongs, and it just seems to fit in with the series that I'm comfortable putting in it.
My takeaway from this fantastic study group, Julie, is that brown eyes are more unusual, because it seems like with all these dolls, they're almost all blue-eyed.
Well, wouldn't you say the same thing is true for just about everything fashion doll?
That's true, yes. Yes, that's true.
Rose, I like brown. I don't really care between the brown eyes and the blue eyes.
I don't either, but I just think it's interesting. And you recommend this book, and I have it, and I need to get it out. And
in German character dolls, I think that is the book. I mean, the reference material used in there, the researching, it was done by Mary Krumholtz, who is no longer with us.
Lovely lady.
Lovely. And she is like a little Energizer bunny. She had so much. And she loved research, and she spent so much time in Germany, and she went to these museums, and she did what Thymer did for French, I think.
Okay.
And I think she left behind a really wonderful legacy for dolls that she loved. And she left us too soon, and I treasure the book. So.
Well, and I treasure being able to see these incredible dolls, because they're in the room next to ours, and I'm just dying to get in here to look at all of them. Well, Julie, so if you had to pick just one, I know you don't have to do that, but if there was just one, which one would it be?
Well, I guess
price is not. No, price isn't the object.
It probably would have been the 1-1 until the 103 got redressed as a boy.
Well, that's interesting, because
and then now I like it much better. I was against it. It was Becky Oron's idea to do this, and I'm like, no, this is not going to work, and I was wrong.
If you offered me a pick,
you'd go for the 107.
No.
Oh, no.
I would go for this.
Really?
Yes, because I already have a 107. Well, thank you, Julie. This has been a great experience for us, and hopefully for all of you out there. Bye-bye, doll friends.
Bye.
Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button.